And I'm really happy to be here tonight with all of you, even though I can't see you, because it's just so special to be in a room with people who knew and loved Johnny. And I will be reading the obituary. John Gilbert Killer Kilpack passed away suddenly at home on Saturday, March 21st, 2020, at the age of 58. Born at Langley Air Force Base on February 17th, 1962, to Mary Carolyn Davies Kilpack and the late William Martin Kilpack, both of Portland, Oregon. As his beloved father served a lifelong commitment to the U.S. military, John grew up in Japan, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Petaluma before settling in Santa Rosa in 1973. As a young player and coach, John excelled in soccer, playing goalie, and became a lifelong devoted fan. At Montgomery High, John appeared in musical theater and developed a deep love of the stage. With a degree in sound engineering, John moved to San Francisco in 1982 and began a long and happy career as a member of the IATSE Local 16. Considered a true talent in follow spotlighting, John worked rock concerts, film, and corporate gigs. A veteran of the San Francisco Opera and San Francisco Ballet, John dedicated 36 years to the stage. Its countless performers, musicians, costumers, makeup artists, and crew were loved by him and considered family. In addition, John proudly served as vice president of Sal Baresi Fabrics from 2004 to 2018. Gifted with a relentless sense of humor, John brought laughter and life everywhere he went, even on the darkest days. He was our gentle bear who always sided with the underdog, defended the weak and vulnerable. There was no man with a bigger heart. He leaves to mourn his passing his adoring, charming wife, Heather, of New Orleans and San Francisco, his 3 outstanding cats, his sprightly, loving mother, Mary Kilpack of Fresno, sister Carolyn Kilpack of Fresno, and brother Michael of Long Beach. In addition, he loved his dear Uncle William Davies of Sacramento, cousin Ron Waltman and his wife Karen from Virginia, cousin Colleen Tharp of Santa Cruz, and her 2 sons. He is preceded in death by his father, William Martin Kilpack, and Aunt Penny Davies. John will be truly missed by the inexplicable number of folks in wife Heather's family, all of whom sidled up to him at one point or another to congratulate him on his bravery for marrying into the family. He also leaves to mourn his loss, his union brothers, lower haters, drinking buddies, and assorted ne'er-do-wells he met along the way. Due to COVID-19 quarantine, John's memorial service is being held on November 22nd at the Palace of Fine Arts. We promise to behave this time, and the police won't have to show up. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, I'm John Boatwright.
And I am Maria Teresa del Carmen Mendoza Santos de Candiari, and my name is not in the program because the paper wasn't long enough for it.
We are so thrilled to have so many brothers and sisters and family members here tonight, so thank you so much for coming. Maria and I always speak together, so you get both of us. I know everyone misses John. We had a small memorial for him in the Opera House shortly after he had passed away with Heather, where we had John's ashes, and we put them on the main marble table in the lobby. And we sorted them out into different urns that could be given out to family members and friends, most of which Heather has, but I keep one in my office in a little tequila bottle because it always makes me think of John. And Maria brought this bottle in, and we were supposed to share it.
Well, not with the ashes. With the, he drank it before the ashes.
Yeah, we were supposed to split it, and it looked good, so I drank it. And then she just came in and stared at me like she always does. But we did put the ashes in together.
We didn't spill much of him, I promise.
I know everyone here loves John, and I'm sure during the course of the evening we're going to be sharing some amazing stories. I think my favorite ones were the rivalry between John and Frank Krumenacher, always vying to be #1 follow spot. And there are many, many stories, some of which I can't tell here tonight. One that always occurs to me that made me laugh was that when we were at the Civic Auditorium for a season, John and Frank were in opposite follow spot booths, and they would go up, and the spots are very large and hot. So they would put a sleeve on that was from like an old sweater, and you rest your arm up there, and it would keep it from burning. Well, John went over, and Frank was pretty good about getting there at the last minute. John went and filled his sock with axle grease. And Frank went running in there, and we heard it all because it was all over the intercom, all of us on headset. And Frank plotted his revenge. I don't know that he ever actually did anything at that time, but it was my favorite. And it's one of the stories. Maria, John, and I shared a lot of time at the bar. And so I keep this little bottle of John with me. And that's it. Here.
Well, John was a friend to all of us. I'm going to keep it a little short, but we have so many stories of John that we can hopefully share while we're in the lobby like we did before and we can after. My only wish is that we had more stories to tell of John after today. But Heather, Mom, Carolyn, Mike, you made an amazing, amazing person and friend. And you're always loved and in part of our family as well. So thank you for giving us John. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I'm Ron Waldman, John's favorite cousin, and a former IA Local 33 member, so I guess you're all my brothers. We used to say when the party started, when John came into the room, it was actually a disservice to John, because every time he entered, he brought along with him a tsunami of warmth, humility, gentleness, and he always made you feel like you were the most special person in the world. John's loves were simple. Above all, he loved his wife, Heather, his family, mother, Michael, Carolyn, and the theater, and especially you, his extended family, his IA brothers. So what you're about to see, I made for the family shortly after John passed, and you, his extended family, are entitled to enjoy it. Thank you for coming. Bye.
It must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You've been content to let me shine. You always walked a step behind. And I was the one with all the glory. While you were the one with all the strength. Only a face without a name. I never once heard you complain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle, 'cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. Oh, I can fly higher than an eagle, 'cause you are the wind beneath my wings.
Wow, beautiful work, gorgeous, gorgeous photographs and wonderful memories. If you want to see the beautiful black shirt that John was wearing in that video, find Jimmy Cottle tonight. He's wearing it tonight. It's pretty darn special. So I'm the fluff here. You're to look at me and not at what's happening behind the curtain over here. John had not only a special relationship with all of us, but he had a wonderful relationship with the San Francisco Opera Orchestra and the Symphony Orchestra and the Ballet Orchestra. John orchestrated a lot of things. And you will see in a couple of minutes a particularly wonderful performance that John would put on, and I'm not going to give it away. But I would like to introduce Maki Sowash to come out and introduce the orchestra. So here, the San Francisco Opera Orchestra.
Hello, my name is Maki Ishii Sowash. Yay! We are your union brothers and sisters from the local 6, the Musicians Union. We're players from the San Francisco Opera and the Ballet. where, of course, John worked for many years. John gave us so much fun and laughter, and we all experienced and enjoyed him picking us up in the pit with his spotlight. Bing! And today we'd like to dedicate this piece. We're going to play a couple of movements from the Vivaldi's Bassoon Concerto in E minor with our very own Mr. Rufus Olivier Jr. at the helm. This is for you, John and Heather.
Hey, family. Thank you guys all for being here tonight for such an important occasion. I have never been so grossly unprepared for a moment in my life as I am right now, with the exception of the birth of my first child, my daughter, and then 3 years later, you think I would have figured it out, my second kid came along. I was completely unprepared for that as well, and I still am 27 years later. Brian Schumann, start the clock. In 3 minutes, turn the lights off if I haven't finished. Danny said brevity is the point when we spoke this morning, and I can get up here and ramble for hours and hours about the love I have for John. I've been thinking about it, and out of all the things I can say about our brother John, if I had to describe him in one word, it was love. It's just like this other guy I follow. He was all about love as well. And John did it every day. It didn't matter where he was. It didn't matter the situation. It didn't matter who he was talking to. He was love. I never saw him frown, except for once, and you'll see that later. He always had a smile on his face. And he was always the first guy to accept a new person, whether it be on a stage crew, whether it be on a house crew, Teamster, it didn't matter. If he just met somebody for the first time, he gathered them in and just sucked them into his wonderful love. And that blew my mind. And we just did a really long run here at the Palace. It was 8 days of just amazing show, just all kinds of technology. It was huge. It almost kicked my, right? And at the end of that, Brian Schumann and I were still here in the theater restoring electrics, and I decided that I wanted to change the blue gel in the par wash. Cool. So I went back in the gel room. And John and I hung out. It was so amazing to me that he was just encompassing me with his love. I'm exhausted. And he's like, dude, it's all good. Let's just hang out. And it was a remarkable, remarkable moment for me. The only other thing I can say about his love in terms of just being all-encompassing, he took a lot of different people under his wing, and he taught a lot of different people a lot of things. My daughter was here as a stagehand, working out of Local 16, and they had a big old show, and he took her back into the gel room, and he's showing how to deal with all the gel and how to manage the gel and the cool stuff, like the little things like, oh, these brads, it's cool. If you take a pair of side cutters and you cut the brad, it makes it sharp. It goes right through the gel holder, and it's really easy. I show up right about then. It's like, hey, look at this. Here's a brad. Stick it through the thing, stuck it in my finger, blood everywhere. And my daughter's like, oh, cool, Dad. Way to impress him. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And the only other story I can come up with at this point is a story I heard yesterday. One of our ushers here, Jeff, worked on a little show called Hamilton as an usher. And he was up in the upper tier, and he saw we were watching the video you're about to see, and he saw John's photo. He's like, I know him. He was so kind to me. It was amazing. I asked him what he did. He said, oh, I run Follow Spot up here. He's like, oh, wow, that's cool. John says, would you like to see? Taking some time out of his life just to show somebody else something that would, to encourage them, or something that they wanted to know. And in my mind, that was what John was all about. John was all about love. Time? Perfect. So John was just an amazing presence, and he was so welcomed here. And when I could get him here, it was hard to get him here because he was so good at his job that he was requested everywhere. And so when I would call him up and say, John, can you come over here? He's like, KT, I'd love to, but I can't because I'm doing this little show called Hamilton. Cool. But when we got him here, it was so wonderful, and he was just so good that it was amazing. And we still have John's barbecue here, and every year when Spewing Ballet comes through, we always throw a little grilling session, and John was a big part of that. He's like, KT, come on, let's get some good meat. I'm like, perfect, dude, let's do it. So we still got the grill back here, and I can't wait to fire that thing back up. So family, thank you guys for coming out tonight. Heather, you know I love you. John's family, we were introduced, but I have a mind like a sieve, so I don't remember your names, but just know that I love you because of John. So thank you guys. Good night.
I want you to want me. I need you to need me. I love you to love me. I'm begging you to beg me. Shine up my old brown shoes, put on a brand new shirt, get home early from work. If you say that you love me, oh, didn't I see you crying? Oh, didn't I see you cry? Oh, feeling all alone without a friend, you know I feel like dying. Oh, now didn't I see you cry? I want you to want me. I need you to need me. I love you to love me. I'm begging you to beg me. Shine on my old brown shoes, put on a brand new shirt, get home early from work. If you say that you love me, oh, didn't I see you crying? Oh, now didn't I see you crying? Oh, I'm feeling all alone without a friend, you know I feel like dying. Oh, now didn't I see you cry? I want you to want me. I need you to need me. I love you to love me. I'm begging you to beg me.
am I supposed to follow Puddles the Clown? It's too much. I was asked by John to be his best man at his wedding, and that presented some challenges. I had to find a place, and I was lucky enough to find a spot that had a back room, a bar, and was completely private. And I knew that I had to find the proper entertainment for that function. I told my wife that this might take some research. It might take many, many interviews. But I started with a union house, which was the Lusty Lady. God rest them. And they said, absolutely not. We will not send our women out without our protection and oversight. And I said, oh, all right, thank you. So I went to the next sleaziest place I could find, and I asked them. And as the clubs got sleazier, there was more willingness to come, dance at a function like this. So in the end, I went with a Craigslist ad. And I thought, I better go and check the girls out and see if they're going to be appropriate for such a thing. So I went to a little apartment in Noe Valley, and I rang the doorbell, and this woman comes to the door, and she's wearing sweats, and her hair is all messed up, and she looks like she just got up. And I said, are you the entertainer? And she said, wait a minute. And she shut the door. I knocked again. She came. The sweatsuit was gone, and I said, I think this is going to work. So on that evening of the party, the two girls showed up, and they were in full leather, and they came on a motorcycle, and they had 2 cans of whipped cream each. And I said, I just want one thing from you. Make that man feel like $1 million. And that's what they did. So I was honored to do that for John, and I recall getting a phone call the next day from Heather saying, Stephen, was there whipped cream at that party? So, there was. Thank you.
Afternoon. I'm Doug Taylor, worked with John at the opera, and a minute ago, watching those slides, my face was covered in tears, and I just didn't want to wipe them off, and that was a really, really moving video. I had to write a bunch of stuff down. I tried as hard as I could to try to memorize stuff and come up with the stories, and there's no way I could retain it without completely losing track of where I was. And having, as Dan was saying about brevity, I could go on for years. Tonight is a hell of a homecoming for a lot of us. Haven't seen each other in a very long time. But about John, my entire family would be completely different without John. He was a glue that held it together. He's the reason that I met my wife and my son. I guess I'll just go to my notes. So Johnny being a link between the stagehands and the San Francisco Opera Orchestra, he worked in the pit and would adjust stands, and he got to know these people, as we all know how John was. He got to know them very well. And he would invite musicians to parties, and they would come and have a great time. That's how I met my wife, Julie, was at a party. I believe the picture of all the bottles of him in the gel room was probably just before the party where I met my wife. they were blowout parties, and they are not allowed to have them anymore for obvious reasons. The collection of shot glasses out in the lobby used to be in that gel room. That is not allowed to be in there anymore either. There are a lot of things that aren't allowed at the Opera House that I was happy to be a part of in one form or another. Maki actually introduced me to Julie, who needed someone to walk her to her car, and it's because John introduced musicians to the stagehands, and they were happy to be a part of it. And for that, I am eternally grateful that my family is what it is. It's all because of John Kilpack. To return the favor, not to return the favor, it's just because John and I were close. I asked John to be one of my best men, my brother and John. That's how close I felt to John. And in a similar vein, I asked John to set up my bachelor party. And John, I wasn't going to tell this story, but somebody last night said I had to. John was going to set up my bachelor party. Round one of his attempt to set up my bachelor party, and it was at a transvestite nightclub with S&M, and I thought he was kidding, and I went to the venue, and no, it was booked. I'm a lot more conservative than some other stagehands, and I said no. But John's uncle Ben was the one who married us. He introduced me to his uncle, and immediately we said, absolutely, this is the guy to perform our ceremony. And in true John fashion, his uncle came up to the city to stay the night before the wedding, and John took him out to Mad Dog and some other bars, and rehearsal time comes, and a half an hour after rehearsal time is supposed to have begun, I call John. What are you doing? He goes, I'm hanging out. What are you doing? I'm waiting for you at the rehearsal. Oh my God. Well, they had gotten drunk and hungover and forgot, but everything worked out fine because, it's a John Kilpack story. There isn't any one of his stories that I know of that didn't end up okay. As soon as I met John in '97, I started at the opera on a 5-hour call. I was told it's a 5-hour call. Call us in the morning, put your name back on the list, you'll get another job. And I show up on the job, and I'm pushing boxes, and I meet John, and he has this view of the way things work that is different than other people. And he knew it wasn't going to be a 5-hour call. I don't know how he knew that, but it took 11 years to get me out of there. And he just had this vision of things that were different than what other people envisioned, and his ended up always being right. So shortly after I met John, I started, within days after meeting John, I started telling people about him. And my girlfriend at the time, I told her about him. And we were invited to a party at Bobby Harrell's house, one of the assistant lighting directors. And it was right about the time, it was just before South Park came out, gives you an idea of when it was. I don't know, what was it, 97? And so I'm on the motorcycle, my girlfriend on the back. We pull up outside of his place, I think it was the Castro, and a bunch of stagehands out front smoking cigarettes. And I get off the bike, and I make a beeline for the other stagehands who are my new friends, and I'm talking to them, and I hear John yell out, Doug. And I look over, and he's talking to my girlfriend. He goes, she does not have a hair lip. He hadn't even introduced himself to her, and then she yells out, you must be Johnny. It didn't take much for him to make an impression, and he made it immediately with whoever he met. Not only me, but just everywhere he went. As people had said, he opened his wings and sucked people in and said, you're with me. And we all are still with him. Another little quick story. So Johnny knew my wife before I did, and he was very comfortable with her, and John loved pranks. Loved them. And he and Frank Krumenacher, as was mentioned, endless. Well, I didn't realize that this particular prank that I'm about to talk about, it happened a couple of times. But the time that I remember was, I believe, the second time it had happened. My wife and I were at home. The phone rings. She answers the phone and goes, "Oh my God, it's a prank call," and hands me the phone. And I'm like, "What?" All she heard was heavy breathing. And I go, "Hello?" And he's like, "Doug, I'm so sorry. It's Johnny. I thought she would be in on the prank. I thought she'd get it." It was just typical of him to call people and say things like, "What are you wearing?" So whenever I would call him, that's the first thing I would ask. With him and I, it was either that or, "What is wrong with you?" I'm not sure if that was an inside joke or if he did that with everybody, but that was a consistent statement whenever he and I were together. "What is wrong with you?" Yeah. I'm not even sure what else to say. You know, I started a Facebook page some years back. You know, my admiration for John, even after I left the opera, never waned. It never weakened or lessened. Every time I saw him, even when I wasn't seeing him, I was thinking of him. Random calls, either him to me or me to him, just seemed sometimes very random. But I started a Facebook page called Selfies with Killer, and a lot of people in here have posted pictures of selfies with Killer. And to me, that is an ongoing tribute and memorial for John. I did not intend it to be that way. I never expected us to be here. Never expected this. But if it had to happen, I'm glad it happened the way it did with you guys, because it makes me realize how close I am to all of you and how much my life has been enriched by that man. Thank you.
I'm Robin Hansen. I'm a violinist with the San Francisco Ballet Orchestra, and I've been playing with the orchestra since John started working at the Opera House. As an electrician, John took care of whatever lighting requests the orchestra musicians had during setup of the orchestra pit prior to rehearsals and performances. He was always a big cheer up and a welcome to the Opera House greeter of sorts. When he was on follow spot way up high in the ceiling of the Opera House, he would greet musicians entering the pit with a quick flash of the spot. He really liked to make people smile. John was born in the year of the tiger, which we had in common, so we tended to use our clawed paws to have a fun repartee of cutting humor with each other. John's office in the basement of the Opera House was labeled Gel Hell, and very often he had rock music playing. Since it was near the stage right entrance to the pit, it became a break room for me when he was working there. We became buddies, and I was happy to be the one to take John out for his celebration dinner when he got his union card. The ballet orchestra started a Christmas Eve Nutcracker tradition of having a member dress up as Santa Claus and come down the center aisle to greet the audience prior to the Nutcracker overture. They would then sit down and play their instrument in costume for the overture. This tradition morphed in the mid-90s to include Santa conducting the overture. It was such a big hit that the conductor pool expanded to other departments in the company. Here is a video of when John became our conductor Santa. He had us in stitches.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In this evening's performance of The Nutcracker, Alana Altman replaces Catherine Winfield in Arabian Coffee. May we please remind you to turn off all cellular and paging devices during the performance. Also, the taking of flash photographs is strictly prohibited, as it is hazardous to the dancers and distracting to the audience. And now, we can direct your attention to the center aisle. We have a special guest with us for this evening's performance. San Francisco Ballet wishes you and yours very happy holidays.
I feel sorry for the fellow to come, follow that act. Of course, he better bring some ho-ho happiness with him. And nobody better than his big brother Michael, Michael, would you please join us here on the stage?
I kind of remember that whipping cream story. Yeah. Dear friends, loved ones, coworkers, and family, it is an honor and a privilege for me to pay tribute today to a very special person, my brother John Gilbert, who we all know as Killer. In the family, it was JG for John Gilbert. And in the bars, it was good old John Boy. My name is Mike. I'm here today with my mom, sister, and cousin for this very special occasion. You can honestly say John lived his life to the fullest and touched so many people during his tenure here in San Francisco by what's going on here tonight with everybody. John was a city guy, and everywhere I went with him, normally that would be the best of the bars in town, and he would always be introducing me constantly to people. We'd be driving in town or on a bicycle, and hey, John Boy, hey, Killer. It's amazing that everybody knew him. I remember one night we were kind of drunk, and we got in a cab, and the guy knew John. We were in trouble at that point. As I began to reach out for the right words to express my thoughts about my brother John, I remember the many valued and meaningful roles that John played throughout his life and mine. It was mentioned that John was very active in both high school and junior college with all the assortments of play and drama. He was an excellent soccer player in high school. But his biggest accomplishment was moving to San Francisco and becoming an elite member of Local 16. Brother John's life was simple. Work hard, play harder. John never missed a beat. The love of his life was Heather for 17 plus years of marriage and his marriage to Local 16. John was the best of the best at both the Opera House, the San Francisco Ballet, Wicked, Hamilton at the Orpheum, the Rolling Stones, Beyonce, JC, Green Day, Stevie Wonder, The Wall, Pink Floyd, Puddles the Clown, Beck, Annie Lennox, that was John's first gig, Pavarotti, Kathleen Battle, my friend Placido Domingo, Lady Gaga, Tony Bennett, Red Hot Chili Peppers, AC/DC, Metallica, and that's probably the first only 10 years. And then there was a place called the Bat Cave. When I started, John would have me come up, and I'd go to quite a few of the plays, but it was the backstage that was the fun part, meeting the cast and all the hard workers and having a drink afterwards. So this Bat Cave got me really interested. So he took me down there. Well, it's full of props. So there on the floor is the rat. When you move, it lights up. And a spider up here, typical JG. John was a good and trusted friend to many people. He could be counted on. He was compassionable, silent, a listener, if you will. If all you wanted was a pass the time or a pool hall drinking buddy, he was your man. I will miss many of the San Francisco and Santa Rosa excursions over the years I did with John. He enjoyed his downtime, but he was never down. One of my favorite destinations was an old Baja mission town called Loreto. It was our first introduction to the all-inclusive resort, and it even had an optional clothing club that John attempted to crash. And I know those photos ended up somewhere at 16. And I remember how excited John and Heather were when they opened the fabric store Sal Baresi. I believe that was back in May of 2004. It was an exciting time for both of them, the predictable, unusual long hours, and very few days off. Heather was the queen of the sales floor, and JG attempted to keep the books in order while continuing to work nights at the Opera House. John was an exceptional jokester, as we've mentioned before, but I was the real master. Being in law enforcement for over 30 years, you have to, 1, enjoy what you're doing in life, 2, have fun in it, and 3, remember life is too short not to play practical jokes. Approximately 38 years ago, John had decided to come visit me in Long Beach. And that was not too often that he took the time off. I was going up there more frequently. So I was excited to have him down in my beat. He really never spent much time in LA, so despite the excitement, when he landed at LAX, he was immediately arrested at the terminal gate. Now this is pre-911, so we got away with it. I had 2 of my best undercover investigators looking forward to meeting him with handcuffs. But what I didn't know, that John was single at the time, good looking, smooth, you know. He met a lady on the plane. So she was gonna have a layover. He said, hey, my brother is always late. Let's have a cocktail. I'm sure that's how it went down. Once John got off the plane, he was cuffed, and the girl took one look at John in disgust and was never seen again. The undercover car was parked in front of the terminal, and John was literally thrown in the back seat and was given his official Miranda rights. John held back the tears pretty good until his brother got behind the steering wheel and off to Long Beach. Gotcha. And it was approximately 20 minutes later, John said, hey, can you take off the cuffs? And I knew there would be a day, it would be get back time, and I knew it would be good. And it took a few years, but he did get me back. Like I said, when I would fly up to see John, it was fun because we went to the best little eateries and the bars and the opera and just meeting the neatest people. You know, I'm so proud of him. So he called one month and said, hey, I want you to come up. I'm taking 2 days off. And I'm going, yeah, right. He says, no, I'm honest. I'm taking these 2 days off. I said, I will fly up, okay? Pick me up at the airport, and we've got 2 days to have fun, go see our uncle in Half Moon Bay, go up to Santa Rosa, see Mom. No problem. Picks me up, unload the luggage. He says, hey, let's go have a drink. Then he says, I got something to tell you. And I'm going, oh, here we go. He assured me that he was not going to work at all. And so I casually dressed. I had just jeans, loafers, no socks, probably an ugly polo shirt, you know. So John said, got the bad news. So what's that? He says, somebody called in sick. So I said, really? He says, yeah. He says, I can't get out of it. And I said, John, we've talked about it. He says, yeah, but it's my job. And I said, I understand. I was disappointed. He says, why don't you just come to work with me? And I said, no, I'm just going to go down the street and visit some of your buddies in the bar and kick back and wait for you to get back, you know. Kind of like that Upper 8 area. So John really felt bad and frustrated. And he says, please just hang out with me. It's a nobody opera. We'll be in and out of there in 2 hours. Yeah. I said, okay, I'm a team player. He says, why don't you just hang out with me on the follow spot? Hell, you know everyone, and you get to see the best light man in action in the USA. So I said, okay, let's do it. So casually, we go to the auditorium, very punctual, and in my mind, it's a nobody concert. That's fine, I love it. As we approach the side employee door, I could not help but observing men in black tie apparel and women in beautiful dressing coming out of limousines by the dozen. Really, John, a nobody? And he's got that shitty grin. Once inside, I obtained a program for the night's event. He got me, Placido Domingo. I entered the stage area in my faded blue jeans, loafers, no socks, polo shirt. Wasn't dressed for the occasion. So I go up, follow the spot, really the best seat in the house as far as I'm concerned. Gets me again. Waiter comes up with a tray, champagne, a glass. Yeah, pretty cool. Found out later that night, John had arranged for me to meet him backstage. But couldn't because he had to get a red eye back to New York. Another cute little story. And I don't know which opera it was, but my mom was invited through John. Got to go backstage a whole bit. So this is an opera my mom, I guess, was really looking forward to, and she had a date. And my mom didn't date a lot, but this is a big thing. And so I wasn't there. I'm hearing this through the story later. So John meets mom and the date. They have pretty good seats. And the opera starts. And I don't know where in the production, but somebody up in the headset said, "Hey, Kilpack, your date's making a move on your mom." So I guess he kind of, the old arm right, and John threw the follow spot. That into that. John, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. You left us at an early stage in our lives. It took a while for us to put together this party of celebration at the beautiful Palace of Fine Arts for you. A first-class person, a first-class act. The love and special memories will always be there, my brother. You're looking down upon us with a stiff drink, center stage. Thank you.
Mrs. Kilpack, Heather, Michael, and Carolyn, brothers and sisters, and ladies and gentlemen, as is our tradition for Local 16, I would invite you all to stand for a moment of silence.
you say the price of my love is not a price that you're willing to pay. You cry in your tea, which you hurl in the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? Remember we made an arrangement when you went away. Now you're making me mad. Remember, despite our estrangement, I'm your man. You'll be back, soon you'll see. You remember you belong to me. You'll be back, time will tell. You remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall. We have seen each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Da 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 da. Da 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 ya da. Da 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 ya da. Da 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 da. Da 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 ya da. Da 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 da. You say our love is draining and you can't go on. You'll be the one complaining when I am gone. And no, don't change the subject, 'cause you're my favorite subject. My sweet, submissive subject. My loyal, royal subject. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war. For your love, for your praise. And I'll love you till my dying days. When you're gone, I'll go mad. So don't throw away this thing we had. 'Cause when push comes to shove, I will kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. Da 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 da. Da 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 ya da. Da 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 ya da. Da 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 da. Da 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 ya da. Da da da. Everybody. Da 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 da. Da 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 ya da. Da 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 ya da. Da 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 da. Ya da. Da 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 ya da.
Local 134. We love our brothers and sisters to the south. We do. And to the east and to the north. This is a very special moment. I'd like to invite the beautiful, the talented, the loving Heather Kilpack to the stage, please.
Thank you, Dan. For a moment, I thought you were talking about somebody else. So I was looking around. This has been such a hard time for me, and the only thing that has lifted me through all this and losing the love of my life is all of you here. And knowing how much you loved him, and he loved all of you. He loved his union brothers and sisters. He lived at 155 Haight since 1986, and he was the mayor of our building. Nobody knows this, but Many times he would get a main key to the whole building so that at 3 in the morning there were some people who would call at 3 in the morning drunk that couldn't find their keys. So John would let people in. If somebody was on the roof, he would get a baseball bat and head out. He was there to protect and take care of everybody. Since it's been a year and a half since we lost John, I encountered so much anger for losing him. And now my heart is filled with gratitude for the years that I had him in my life. No one will ever love me the way John did. He protected me, he looked over me, and he loved dearly his family, his friends. He was the most selfless person I've ever known. So and I don't want to say for the sake of brevity, but I do have one of my latest Johnny stories that I love to tell. We had ordered, a few months before he passed away, we had ordered a new lamp from Pottery Barn. My biggest pet peeve is styrofoam. I hate styrofoam. It's going to take 500 years to go away. There is no reason for us to have it. So this giant lamp came, encased in styrofoam. I spent an hour breaking this up because it had the little triangle, the recycle thing on it. So John came home from work that night, and he was working on Hamilton, and I told him, I said, look at all the styrofoam, this is insane. So I tied it up into bundles, and I told him the next morning, I'll go downstairs on the way to work, and you can throw all the bundles down from our 3rd-story balcony, and I'll carry them off to the recycling. Fine. So I'm all dutied up. I'm downstairs. There's a nice lady walking her dog up Haight Street. And so John tosses the first bundle of styrofoam, and the wind catches it, and I'm laughing, and I'm racing around trying to grab it, and he yells, don't you ever come back and take your styrofoam with you. Oh my gosh. Every day, honestly, every day was such a joy to be with him. There are so many nights I would pretend to be asleep when he came home, knowing I had to work at the store the next day, because I knew if we started talking, it was going to be a 2.5-hour cocktail party, and then I would go to bed at 3, and I had to get up at 7:30. So, John, there were many nights, I admit it, I was laying there just pretending to be asleep, but there were so many adorable things about him that never stopped, every day, all the time. He wouldn't wear a suit for our wedding. He wore a Hawaiian shirt, which was fine. But finally, we went on a cruise, and it was schmuckety schmuck, and he had to wear a suit. Well, it wasn't a pocket square. It was a pocket doily that he wore with his long pantaloons that matched the jacket that he wore. And he'd pose in front of the mirror and go, do I look like mafia? Do I look like mafia to you? He always used to say, I always wanted to be a cop, but I wanted to be a bad cop. I'm like, John, no. You're the guy on the floor rolling around with Lassie. You would not be the bad cop. But I do have to say, the magic of the journey of knowing John, meeting all of you in a milieu that everyone loves, music and art. When I first moved here, I had 4 cockatiels, and one of them unfortunately passed away. John found him for me in my little apartment, wrapped him up in a linen tea towel, and put it in his refrigerator. So a couple of nights later, I asked John, I said, well, what happened to Hammy? He said, I buried him in the rose garden at the Opera House at midnight. I got a prop shovel. He said, he'll always have music and roses. And this is when we first started dating. And such a lovely man. Yes, he did scratch his back with a fork. I saw him do it. But he was my Sir Galahad. He loved all of his Union brothers and sisters so much. He had such high regard for everyone that he worked with and genuinely cared about every single person. Thank you so much. I know a lot of you came from far away, and your love and you being here means more than you will ever know. It's going to help me heal. I'll look back on this night as one of the best nights of my life, and I thank you all.
I know it's really not my place, but Heather's been staying with me for the past couple of nights, and she shared the most amazing statistic that in 19 years of marriage, John never raised his voice to her. Not once. So here comes the audience participation part of this evening's festivities. I'm sure there are a couple of stories floating around out there. Hopefully they're of the 2-minute variety. So, who would like to come up and share some love? There we go.
Hi, Dan Franco. My first gig here at this venue was also the first day I met Kilpack. And, I'm a lighting guy. The computer here, I don't know if most of you know, but it's 20 years old. It's weird. It's complicated. And KT was very kind, but John was insanely kind because he was up there at the spot booth and he saw me struggling and he just said the simplest thing in the world, which I needed to hear, but it hadn't got into my brain. He's like, you know what? One thing at a time. And that's what I needed to hear, and we got through the night, and it was great. And I've just been endlessly grateful to his kindness for that simple statement, one thing at a time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura, and Richard is my guy, and Heather and John were our favorite double date couple. We went on vacations with each other, and it was always an immense pleasure, and we were all, our jaws hurt from laughing at the end of the evenings. But one of my favorite moments is that we were at Teatro Zinzani, and it was a portion of the show before the food started coming, and the orchestra was playing. And so I was dancing with Richard, and Heather was dancing with John. And he broke away from her and said, "May I cut in?" And I was like, "Yes, of course." And he grabbed Richard and started dancing with him, a sublime duet. And that's what John was about. There was always a surprise and a punchline, and we miss him dearly.
I remember, Andrew, I said 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Victor Skoka. I work with John at the San Francisco Opera from 96 to 2001. I recently worked with him at Davies Hall in 2019. I had the great honor of running spot with him at Davies Hall in the last part of his life. So I feel like we bonded at the end. It is so awesome to have known this man. I knew him on a different level. I knew him as a friend. And one of the stories I have to share is when he followed me home one night after work, because I told him what I eat every night, and I like to grill, and we were going to have grilled salmon that night. And I didn't think that he was going to follow me home. And he followed me home. And I had no idea. I get home. We had an early day. Got home about 6. I knock, knock on the door. There's John. He's like, "Where's the salmon?" So I invited him in like my brother, like he is. And he is my brother in my soul. And we had a lovely dinner that night. And we bonded again, like we always do. And he visited me in Hawaii with Heather. They visited me in Hawaii. We had a great time in Kona. And so I knew him away from work. And I just want to share that with you guys. Thank you.
So most of you know that I spent most of my career as a rigger. And I can say that John didn't. I think that's a pretty safe statement. So somehow, some way, we must have been incredibly busy because John was one of my riggers on a bigger call at Moscone. And he came up to me right away and he said, "I don't know what the hell I'm doing." And I said, "Okay, well, you've been around for a little bit. I'm sure you know Mo." He says, "No, I don't know what the hell I'm doing." So I said, "All right, well, let me show you what we're going to do." And I explained it to him, how we're doing the trusses and that sort of stuff. And about an hour later, I thought, man, I should probably check on what he's doing. And there was John showing somebody else what had to be done because now he knew what the hell he was doing. And that's like how when I would see him on a job, I know it's going to get done.
Thank you, Anthony. So while we wait for Brother Scott Houghton, I'm going to remind you all that there will be time to gather afterwards in the lobby. There are no beverages or food, but there's time to gather. Okay, so if there's more story sharing, that can happen then. Scotty?
Just two things. John, I was the assistant department head at the Opera when John worked there, and it was great, and he worked for me I was the head at Hamilton, but I had this thing where because of the relationship at the Opera, I could like look at him cross-eyed and make him paranoid almost instantly. And it really, and then we'd crack up, but it never ceased to amaze me. Now, I want to tell you a story that John told me about how he and Heather met. He was, I guess, riding his bicycle. He was in the Castro. Somehow he ended up striking up a conversation with Heather, back and forth, and she gave him her phone number. I thought, oh, great, she gave me her phone number. Well, he called her later, and conversation, all that, and Heather says, well, I thought you were gay. and John goes, why'd you think I was gay? He says, well, you're in biker shorts in the Castro, and you're talking about the opera and the ballet. And John said, oh, yeah, okay, I get that. Anyway.
Not you again. Okay. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Dan Murkowski, and it's been a quite interesting times that we have. We lost so many brothers and sisters in the past couple of years, especially in this venue here that we know a few, and we really, truly miss them. And they were all wonderful, and John was exceptionally wonderful, and the one word I can always, describe John was by saying that he was genuine, really quite genuine. Yeah, we all know he's a jokester. Christ, he had me in stitches so many times that I almost got fired off a job because I was laughing so hard, and he kept doing it. He just kept doing it. I'm like, John, stop. No, you're going to suffer for this one, Murkowski. Okay, great, thanks. And then it wasn't some time later, I guess it was before COVID, we were doing a mariachi band. I can't remember the name of the mariachi band, but this was before COVID, and I was running spot with John. And, you know, I just loved being in his presence. I really did. And, you know, everyone experiences that, you know, that warm feeling, that, you know, camaraderie, that friendship, the fellowship, the genuineness and the joking. And, you know, it was just great. And he always supported me, even in the beginning of my career with Local 16. You know, he didn't know me. I mean, most people didn't like me. Well, he took a shine to me. I don't know why. But the one thing he did, and I wish I had it, I was seriously looking for it this morning, and I searched everywhere for it. I know I have it. I think it's somewhere else. But the one thing he gave me, which I'll always hold and cherish, was this white box. And in the white box was his Telrad. He had two of them. He had an extra one. This was one that he used over the years. And he goes, "It's time to pass this one on to you." And wow, you know, I was I was taken aback. I didn't have anything, you know, to offer. And he goes, "Nah, just take it, you know, and you deserved it. You're a great guy, and, you know, on you go." And I was like, "Thanks." And the next day I gave him a bottle of wine, you know, and I can't remember if he opened it there and then, you know, that was on him. I think he offered me some. But anyway, I just wanted to say he was wonderful, and that white box that I have with his Telrad will always be with me forever. Thank you.
We have time for two more, and one of them is going to be the sound guy, so we got to let him speak.
Unmasked. All right. So, an under 1 minute story. In the early 1980s, Hyatt Berlin game. There for a couple weeks doing shows. We're doing a loadout late in the afternoon. All of us went to take a break. We had the large plastic pitchers of water on the stage. Somehow, of course, we were skinnier then. John Kilpack had managed to maneuver behind me as we were sitting on the risers, maneuver behind me, getting a span set around the handle, getting a carabiner on the end of the span set, and hooking it to the back loop of my blue jeans without me noticing. Now, you know, a lot of comedians have the same routine they do over and over, because I'd like to know if he did this to somebody else. So I'm sitting there completely oblivious to a younger, slender Kilpack. Kilpack goes around, goes to stand by the door that would go up the ramp, promptly starts jumping up and down and yelling my name as if there's a fire going on. What else would I do but get up and run and then immediately stop? I drove home with a drenched back that night. And for years, every time I would see Brother Kilpack on a show, because he knew sooner or later there would be revenge from the little Middle Eastern Armenian, I would go, "Pitcher of water," and he'd go, "Can we get this over with?" So this went on for years. I eventually got him back. I'm not going to tell you what I did, and I need a fresh mic.
Hi. Oh, well, I've never spoken in a microphone before. My name is Ariel. I have known Kilpack since I was born. My dad was in the union. I'm in the union now. And of all the people that, you know, "Oh, I knew you when you were a kid," Kilpack is the only person I remember. And I remember the first hug I gave him. I remember the smell of his shirt. I remember the first hug I ever gave Heather. And if there's one thing that stagehand parents love to do, it's to tell us to never go into the business, and it never works. And I ended up at the San Francisco Opera, and we did the ring cycle. And I remember showing up that day, and I didn't know that Kilpack was going to be there. And it was my first time seeing him in probably 15 years. And I was so excited that I was going to get to work with him again, and that he remembered me. And it didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but he pulled me down to the jail room, and he called my dad in Mexico where he lives, and my dad answered the phone and was like, jail room, what? And he just talked about how proud he was that, you know, I was there and that we were all there, and it meant a lot that Kilpack, of all people, said that he thought I was a good worker, and I really miss him and I love him, and I just wanted to say that.
Okay, one more, and really that's it. That was Ariel Bott, by the way, if people don't recognize her. Oh, well, you saved the best for last here.
Come on, don't put the pressure on.
Pressure's on.
Which one?
That one, to the right. This one.
Hi, I'm Kenny Patzel. Was an electrician at San Francisco Opera for 8-9 years. I started with John in 1986, I think. And I have a lot of John's stories to tell, but I'll kind of condense it down to a couple. But just even getting into an elevator with John was fun. Just some of the things, you know, some of his lines were, you know, we'd go to a dressy event and he'd say, hey, nice tie, is that a clip-on? That's a John line. Get in an elevator and he'd say, you know, do you smell barbecue? Schmeeb alert. I can go on and on with John's lines, but he used to go and turn one of the two, just one, I'll condense these down to two quick stories. So one fun thing was on stage right at the opera, Lynn McKee, the former master electrician, used to have a schedule like a clock. He used to go to the restroom at the bottom of the stairs on stage right, and John would wait for about 2 minutes. Lynn would go into the stall. I'm sure he took down his pants, getting ready to do his business. John had it all timed out. Almost every day, John would reach in and flick the lights off. So I'm sure John's upstairs flicking the lights off on Lynn again. But one last story, really quick. I think it was Nabucco we were doing at the opera, and it was kind of an exposed stage. So if this were the curtain, this was the edge of the stage. And it was a rake stage, and on stage there were two big beefy guys with no shirts and big flames. Because there were flames, we had to have a fire extinguisher under the stage. And I remember the curtain was getting ready to open, and Lynn said, just before the curtain opened, John, aren't you supposed to be underneath on fire watch? He goes, oh, shit. So John runs out, and I don't know what he was thinking, but he picked one of the braces to try and get into the spot. So he dives in with his, you know, his big belly. So the curtain opens with these two big beefy guys there, and this ass wiggling like this. Anyway, I miss him dearly. It was a gut punch when I heard it, and I'll miss him forever. We're going to be doing a Nutcracker here in three weeks. I have a ballet school, and before COVID, I hadn't worked with John for quite some time because I was off doing other things, and I just got a call out of the blue from John. He said, do you mind if I come down and do your follow spot? I'd just like to kind of come down and hang out with you guys. And that was one of the last times I think I spent with John, and it was, boy, it was wonderful. And I miss him dearly. Thank you.
So because I was so brief this evening, I've got a little something for you for the end, for John, for Heather, for Mrs. Kilpack and the family, in the Irish tradition. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rain fall softly on your fields. And until we meet again, may you keep safe in the gentle, loving arms of God. God bless you, Johnny. God bless you all. Thank you. So this is the end of this part of tonight's celebration. If you want to continue into the lobby, I will draw your attention to another talent that Mr. Kilpack had. As we're rolling the show credits, you'll see the dancing duck fingers of Killer. God bless. Thank you for coming.